Hey guys, happy Sunday. Thanks for stopping by for another episode here at All I See is W. In today's video, we'll be covering updates with strategy, Bitcoin, and the big three Bitcoin miners. We'll be covering technical analysis, price predictions. How high can Bitcoin go in this cycle in 2025? What does that mean for MSTR? Where will the price be headed? I'll be going through all those updates as well as updates with the big three miners as well. Now, if you're new to this channel or you're returning, I'm thrilled that you're here. I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. Let's first off take a look at this post from CryptoSat. So Bitcoin next stop is the third circle we have. So in 2024, we got that run up to, close to 80,000, and then we broke through the 100,000, and now are we going to be getting to that, top line run up point, above 200,000 sometime around in the next quarters in Q3, this quarter, Q4 in 2025. So much upside right now. In fact, Bitcoin is showing dominance right now. It's asserting dominance in the crypto space during this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin opens up tomorrow. Strategy today, let's say if you're invested in strategy like I am, let's just take a moment to be grateful that strategy is here. Today marks 5 years since strategy adopted a Bitcoin strategy. So, congratulations to Saylor and the team for really starting global game theory 5 years ago, back in 2020, when no one really saw any public companies buying up Bitcoin. But now we're hearing so many companies, at least in the year 2025, ramping up global game theory to buy up Bitcoin. So, let's take a moment to breathe. Strategy continues to stack sats, and there's truly no second best. Let's take a look at this post. Strategy is a Bitcoin treasury company, needs Bitcoin principles. So, what are the 9 principles? Let's go through it. The first principle is buy and hold Bitcoin indefinitely, exclusively, securely. Two, prioritize MSTR common stock long-term value creation. Three, treat all investors with respect, consistency, and transparency. Four, structure MSTR to outperform Bitcoin via intelligent leverage. So that's interesting because, MSTR has like an MNIV 2x multiplier. So let's say Bitcoin goes up by 1x, MSTR has a multiplier of 2x of that gain from Bitcoin. Five, acquire Bitcoin continually while achieving positive Bitcoin yield. Six, grow rapidly and responsibly subject to market dynamics. Seven, issue innovative fixed income securities backed by Bitcoin. Eight, maintain healthy, robust, pristine balance sheet. And nine, lastly, promote global adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Let's go. We're looking at the top 100 public companies treasury. Um, Strategy is number one, 628,791. Eventually, they're going to get to that one Nakamoto with two commas with their total HODL. When you look at like the rank 100 Bitcoin, now you have to have at least minimum of 30 Bitcoins to get onto this, more than 30 Bitcoins to get onto the top 100 companies. I mean, a year ago, how many companies were there? There was only a handful, but now you have the whole entire world stacking Satoshis right now. They're not stopping at all, and they continue to stack sats. Let's take a look at technicals of Bitcoin. We'll also be doing technicals of, strategy in the big three miners as well. But Bitcoin right now is showing strong dominance, currently at 118,888. We continue to see Bitcoin go up. That's a good thing. I'm forecasting as we continue to see volume increase during the weekend. I'm thinking that in the month of August, we may very well have a nice breakout session, 135,000. We heard from many people, financial institutions, really forecasting that Bitcoin can get to 800,000. I really do think we can get there. We're about 80% from that top point in the year 2025. Volumes increasing, it's hovering above the Ichimoku cloud. We have price action hovering above It continues to slowly but surely climb up. That's a good thing. That's what we want. We have Bitcoin dominance continuing. I posted yesterday the big three HODL miners like CleanSpark, Riot, Mara are gonna start pushing up. The more hate there is, the bigger the squeeze. Big moves are coming with Bitcoin soon for a major gap up. We've been hearing a lot of news around miners being risky. Yes, there's operational expense, but to me, you can't talk Bitcoin without talking about Bitcoin miners, and you can't talk about Bitcoin miners without talking about Bitcoin. I mean, there's a push and pull. Without the miners, Bitcoin won't survive. Yes, there is competition out there with the miners. However, Bitcoin miners are needed. They need to validate the Bitcoin proof of, work concept to get rewarded with blocks and Bitcoin. So for those reasons, Bitcoin mining is here to stay. Otherwise, Bitcoin won't even exist. And everything happens in a cyclical, seasonal trajectory, given the fact that we've seen, since that pullback in like Q1, I mean, miners like CleanSpark Riot was at the $6. Mara was like at $9.80. Where we are today compared to where we were, we're up like, close to 100%, even though we had that major pullback. And now, our resistance is now at the support level at that like $10 baseline. I'll take that as a win, but get ready because there's going to be a major squeeze when Wall Street lets these dogs out. That's when things start running up significantly. We're talking about big potential major squeezes. Max's post, I highly recommend following Max from Munich. He has a really great post. People are understandably upset about the price performance of CleanSpark, but I believe so strongly in Bitcoin, and it will soon hit 150,000, 200,000, 220,000, and maybe then correct. It doesn't matter. CleanSpark will be a money-making machine, and I don't care about 2230. I expect 60, 120 long term. I see it. Some see it. BlackRock see it. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Let's take a look at this visual. I mean, look at what institutions are doing right now. While people are complaining, what are financial institutions doing? They're exponentially ramping up their total share count of CleanSpark right now. And that also applies to Riot and Mara as well. They're doing this because they understand there's upside. Let's go through CleanSpark's overall updates with their, fiscal year third quarter 2025 results that was announced last week. Quarterly revenue, $198 million, 90% increase from their prior event. Quarterly Bitcoin production, they mined over 2,012 Bitcoin. Quarterly average revenue per coin that they sold, 98,000. So this was like one of the most successful quarters that CleanSpark has had to date, and their continued discipline and commitment, for achieving results. They achieved 50 exahash of operational hash rate in June. First public mining company to do so with American infrastructure. They achieved an EPS of 90 cents per share with $200 million in revenue, along with their Bitcoin treasury of over 1 billion in value. So these results, I mean, it shows that fundamentally they have a solid business core, and they're mining at, high capacity and efficiency using the latest and greatest technology. I think having, with what the CEO said, having achieved 5.8% of global hash rate under management and over 1 gigawatt of power contracted, CleanSpark is proving that our vertically integrated model is built not just for growth, but for leadership. So I definitely do see CleanSpark really just taking a leap here, just showing improvements with their joules per terahash, their quarterly revenue, getting high throughput with Bitcoin mining. In fact, now when you think about it, it's like every hour they're mining like at or more than 1 Bitcoin. Their total assets, I mean, $3.1 billion market cap, I think is going to climb up as the share price starts, doubling and tripling in value. Let's take a look at, Stonk Chris's posts. He's saying Riot back to $70, anyone? Not probable, but possible. So he believes Yes, even though the probability of occurrence for this to happen, isn't probable, meaning it could definitely happen. It's possible. We can't ignore that. When Wall Street lets these puppies run, it will run. I mean, we see it typically with every halving event once every 4 years. I mean, it happened the last two Bitcoin halving events. So he has it drawn out where it could potentially go up to above $70. So just just be on the lookout for that. Anything is possible. Let's look at Riot's production numbers that they announced, and they also announced solid earnings per share, 2 weeks ago, as well as, their overall increase with Bitcoin mining consistency and their expansion into maximizing the development into HPC data centers. Now, looking at their July numbers that they announced, I mean, they had a deploy hash rate of 35.5, 484 Bitcoins mined. In the prior month, they had, 515, I believe. Bitcoin held down 19,000. And yes, they're selling a portion of their Bitcoins each month to minimize dilution and to pay off operational expense. So that's good because you don't want dilution. That just creates more fear, uncertainty. But here's the one thing I want to point out. They're all in power costs. Anytime when you have like 3 cents or lower, that's considered cheap. And this is why Riot is, based out in Texas because they can get energy power costs by the grid at low cost, 2.8 C per kilowatt. That's just major steals right now. On top of their Bitcoin mine, also to factor in that, they flip the switch on certain instances as well when it gets to that price point when it costs more to mine Bitcoin. But when they do that, they're able to accumulate energy and sell it back to the facility, which they've accumulated $12 million in this month alone just by doing that, just with power credits. Crypto Klepto posts about Mara. We heard about Bo Hines, former executive director of the White House. I mean, we heard yesterday that he's pulling out from the position at the White House and now he's going to be entering the private sector. So there's definitely huge incentives in the public private sector, which is why Bo Hines, he's done his job, with having the United States really driving for the Genius Act, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, and the Trump family with Bitcoin mining. Bo Hines actually sat down with CEO Fred Thiel where they had an interview just talking about the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. So anything can really happen. I mean, when you think about it, what if Bo Hines has some type of partnership? It may not be with Mara. If it is with Mara, that's going to be bullish. But this is going to be very bullish for the entire crypto sector once Bo Hines joins the public company's position. Kush posts about, Mara. Most names that have 10x potential aren't supposed to look like it before they have their move. Mara on the monthly, so he's drawing out, potential Mara having a squeeze up. I mean, he even has it to like, 70 to 140. So, with all this pressure, that might create diamond hands for this upcoming squeeze. Let's take a look at MSTR technical analysis. So strategy has been coiling, it's been priming, it's been consolidating since last year, right? I mean, November 550, we haven't got to that run up top, but just look at 2025 so far. It's a year of consolidation, but we see it, trending higher with higher lows. And we're going to get higher highs eventually, which I do believe it's going to be coming. I forecast that relative strength is going to start bouncing up. And I think in this month or September, we're going to break into that 650 range. Again, we talked about MSTR being like a 2x MNAV multiplier of Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes to 200K. This puppy can go to like 1,300,000, but I think on a moderate scale, MSTR will be getting to $1,000 is my perspective. So be on the lookout. We're going to see some really nice favorable gains with strategy. Let's talk about CleanSpark technical analysis. So yes, we see this pullback from, $14 down, to the sub $10 In fact, Friday it had a bleed out, and this was just the entire mining sector having a pullback. I mean, there was, shorts taking advantage, but I don't think that's going to happen for long. I think there's going to be a reversal pattern. We're already seeing that with Bitcoin. I think, Bitcoin hedge stocks are going to have a nice field day and along with, the upcoming weeks. I think that, the support level here at that $10 psychological barrier, we're going to maintain that level and then we're going to start climbing up. CleanSpark relative strength, to me, in my opinion, is like oversold. We're going to have a reversal with all of that FUD news just clearing out. Once Bitcoin starts ramping up to 130,000 in this month, CleanSpark is going to start climbing up. I see $18, in August, September is my prediction. Let's take a look at Riot platform. So yes, Riot, similar, performance with the miners, right? Like with CleanSpark, Riot, Mara, you name it. I mean, Riot went up to $15, dropped significantly after earnings. I mean, typically with miners, anytime when there's earnings, shorts like to take advantage. Doesn't matter if it's good news or bad news, even with earnings per shares, dominating. That's just the nature of the game. But where there's volatility, there's vitality, and I really do think that we will continue to hold, this support level with this ascending channel with higher lows. And at one point, we're going to get a higher high. I think we're going to get to that $20 in the month of August, September. Be on the lookout, relative strength definitely reset it from that overbought situation. So definitely a good thing. Just looking at technicals, and we're just going to see it climb up right now. I think a lot of people are opening positions, with call options as well as buying shares. They're accumulating because they know that there's going to be a big squeeze up as Bitcoin starts running up. And, when you look at, similar companies like Mara here, I mean, Mara had a pullback. It got up to like $21, broke back down to $15. There's been a lot of hate, but just thinking about relative strength, it's also resetting now, back at normal equilibrium state. We're still holding this trend line support. And I do think that we're going to see a reversal here very soon with Bitcoin breaking out. Mara has a 50,000 HODL. That's really going to be favorable for the company overall with its market cap and the technicals. When there's huge swings like this on the downside, there's going to be a huge swing on the upside. I do think on the near term, August, September, we're going to get back into that $23 zone. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode where we talked about strategy, Bitcoin, and the big three miners. We also covered price predictions, how high I think Bitcoin can go in 2025, as well as MSTR share price and Riot, CleanSpark, and Mara. So thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be going live later today, post 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you all can join. Thank you, guys.